Welcome to Thomas's comparison driving lounge, starting with the big one, with the A7 and German Autobahn test. We put it here to the dynamic mode. We have the air suspension. It lowers down, sporty note, also goes in the S shifting mode for sportier shifting, putting up the gears then higher RPM and starting from 40 kilometers an hour on the motorway. Let's go. Clock 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour, really stable, nice acceleration from the 3-liter 6-cylinder engine, and also lane changing here when the air suspension is set on the stiffer note, really nice. Also good noise insulation here at higher speeds. Awesome traveling vehicle. It's one of the best vehicles for the motorway overall, and I really don't need an A8 or an S-Class for that. This one already delivers you all the kinds of comfort. At the same time, the seats comfortable but sporty, great seat ergonomics indeed, and wow, it feels so sophisticated here. That is also one of the major differences than A7 versus A5. Both, we already heard that, are awesome vehicles, no doubt. But here the bigger one, just a little more mass, more wheelbase, it just brings this kind of sophistication to the ride. A little bit more calmness, a little bit more sophistication. You feel a little bit more, let's say, settled in a way, and especially then when we go back here to the normal shifting mode. Yeah, user interface, better in the A5, a little bit more classic. Still here for the touchscreen solutions, also lower part with the climate unit and so on. One of the best climate solutions that is not still classic, you know. So you can control it still very well, although it is here this touchscreen for that kind of stuff. Here also you see some of the ambient lighting here in the lower part, especially. That is beautifully done here. Really like that. And also here in the tunnel, you hear how silent the vehicle is. Really, really awesome. It brings me, you know, that feeling of I can drive hours and hours and hours without any back pain, without caring about that. I just love this vehicle. It's one, driving wise, it's definitely one of my favorite vehicles overall. And as I said earlier, also this combination of, you have the great design, yet the great flexibility, practicability with that head, this fastback trunk, that's called that way. Cruise control is set here on the lower part. Also here with the active lane keeping assist, very well done. All the assistance systems work flawlessly. And even if you're on the auto mode and the air suspension is not being lowered down, it gives a very good compromise of sportiness and comfort. It doesn't lean too much to the corners here, getting off the motorway. Nice feeling from the brakes here, the right and the left S-turn. It is a large vehicle, but at the same time it feels so agile and nice to ride. Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite rides overall together, also, you know, with the BMW 5 Series, because they both have this, I would really say, perfect combination of sportiness and comfort, you know. You have no compromise on sportiness and no compromise on comfort. Maybe the only compromise on sportiness is the weight, because the A5, we will soon see it, it will feel a little bit sportier because it's just lighter, you know, and then the smaller wheelbase helps in the winding corners. You can also just go to the S shifting mode here for an acceleration, then go from 90 kilometers an hour. Nice sonorous sound, not too much, not accelerated. 150 already, and now here in this, I always call it like a Nürburgring Nordschleife-like corner. Really awesome how nice it gets into this long corner, how settled the car is on the ground. And once again, how silent it is, although I'm at really, really high speeds. Once again, 180 kilometers an hour, so yeah, around 150, 120 miles an hour. This is just a flawless job, and this is one of the Autobahn cars, definitely. I just love that, and it feels so flawless to drive that one. At the same time, you can also go back here to normal D mode, so you don't always have to switch the driving modes. Sometimes just when you want to do overtaking maneuver, you pull back the shifting lever and you just concentrate on that faster shifting and leave everything else as it is. Now, what about winding corners? Because that will be very crucial in describing the difference, once again, between A7 and A5. Alright, once again, we go to the dynamic mode. Stiffer suspension and now also uneven road, but that air suspension, even in dynamic mode, does a good job. So this is something the A8 has as advantage. You can get the air suspension in comparison to the S or A5. So that gives you more comfort in general. And here now the winding corners. We have still the classic Quattro here with the 3-liter engine. That means rear wheel bias. To me, that would also be very important. They don't have understeering and so on. And I really have to say, once again, although it's a heavy vehicle, it feels really sporty and nice in the corners. Acceleration out is super cool. And once again, that great steering characteristic. This feels so smooth and flawless. So, well, but now even more interesting is, will the A5 be enough? Although it's, depending on the configuration, 25 to 40,000 euros or dollars less expensive, will it deliver the same comfort? How much sportier is it? And which one would I take home? This is going to be really, really tough. Alright, now to the Audi A5 Sportback. This is really super interesting. We'll also put it here to the dynamic mode. And also in the S shifting mode for more boosting up the RPM. We also go back to 40 kilometers an hour here with the 2-liter engine. You can also get the 3-liter engine, but here just to give you a feeling for this one here, this engine will be mostly picked by most A5 customers. Let's go. $150. Now, of course, it takes a little bit more time. And here 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. Also a good acceleration. And as I said, you can also get the 3-liter V6 for this one here in the S5. But petrol only in the US now anymore, not in Europe. That's the thing. That's why also the reason why we had to pick the 2-liter engine. And for this one here, the S5 would have been a diesel than in Europe. And so this one, made more sense here. Good acceleration not only, but also here great stability at the motorway. Good noise cancellation as well, but a little bit louder than in the A7. The A7 a little bit more sophisticated as for the noise insulation, as for the whole driving feeling. And very interesting, with the A7 we had the rear axle steering, and that gives us the combination of agility at low speeds and stability at higher speeds. So the difference between the bigger and the smaller car is actually less, or not that large, because of that rear axle steering we have mounted in the A7. That is a crucial factor and also helps with easing around. However, one of the biggest advantages of the A5 still is, of course, that it's just shorter when you are in a narrow basement garage or when you live in a city which has narrow situations, narrow streets. There you just have the advantage of a shorter vehicle with the A5. That's of course a crucial thing. If you don't have that problem, like the US West Coast, you have a lot of open space anyway, then you can easily go for the A7 as for this aspect. The A5 here also already delivers good comfort, is also a good motorway vehicle. I really feel at home here also on the German Autobahn. The seats of the A7 gives us a little bit more comfort, but the difference is not that large. It's just, again, the A7 that it gives you some more sophistication and calmness in the ride. But the A5 Sportback is for this segment already very elaborated. And the funny thing is, when you really ask me, C-Class versus E-Class, E-Class it is for me. BMW 3 Series versus 5 Series. 5 Series it is, no doubt. Because they just give me so much more comfort that it would make sense for me rather go low spec 5 Series than high spec 3 Series. Here with the A5 and the A7, I really have to think twice, because some things speak for the A5, price of course, and the size, as for narrow cities and so on. But then again, many things speak for the A7, that you can get the rear axle steering, that you can get air suspension, and you have more, let's say, combination of sportiness and comfort. You get both indeed. Yeah, but acceleration here was also good, will be even better of course than in the S5, especially when you get the petrol variants. Yeah, too bad we can only get it in the convertible S5 than here in Europe anymore. Both have great driving experience, really. So it is really, really tough to decide between these, definitely. Yeah, the price difference, of course, is, bigger, especially when you compare now the 3-liter V6 and also more equipment you can actually put in the A7. Then the price difference is rising from not only 25k euros or dollars to about like 40,000 euros or dollars. And then you start thinking, of course, that this one here, we already know that this one here, the A5 Sportback, makes more sense in a price performance way. That is quite clear. But overall, and also especially if price makes no difference, this will be really tough to decide. Soon we'll have the winding corner section again, where we then can feel, is the A5 really that much more agile in these narrow corners? We'll soon experience that. For another good acceleration from 90 kilometers an hour. Yeah, and this engine has enough power, no doubt. It's just that the 6-cylinder feels more sonorous from the sound and a little bit more sophisticated, and consumption difference is not that large actually. Here now, winding corner, just slight bend, Nürburgring Nordschleife bend I always call it, because it's high speed. Wow, it also feels so great on the motorway, really feels at home here, very calm and collected, the lane changes are no problem even at high speeds. This is also awesome. Definitely, what a flawless driving experience here as well with the Audi A5. So as for this fuel economy aspect, some 8 liters or more kilometers are easily possible. Yeah, something 30 mpg, but the difference is really not that large between the 2-liter and the 3-liter engine. That's always what I've been saying quite a lot of times, is these tuned smaller engines are not more efficient than the bigger engines. So you won't consume much more fuel with a 3-liter V6 than you do with a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. That is also a very interesting finding. So yeah, especially our friends in the US get the S5 with the 3-liter 6-cylinder petrol than if you're buying an A5. Of course, yeah, if you have the money spare. Otherwise, a base A5 will also really make you happy, especially here in the 5-door Sportback version. It's so versatile, but you already, and that's also one of the key aspects, if you don't want to spend the extra money for an A7, which is bigger and also higher in the price, you already, with the A5 here, get the whole Audi experience with the comfort, sportiness combination, with the nice user interface here, with the sophistication in the build quality, with the driving fun. You already get that with the base Audi A5 Sportback, so you still get a great deal when you go for, they're not cheap at all, never, but a base A5 Sportback will already give you everything you need basically. And that's clear then, price performance wise, that this one here is the choice. But overall, it's really interesting now in these tighter winding corners. Will the A5 there really be so much sportier than the A7, or has that rear axle steering so much effect, and the weight, how will that turn out? Now the A5 in winding corners, dynamic mode. We have the normal adaptive suspension here without air, but that also adapts, then gets a little bit stiffer here now. And without air suspension, it's definitely rougher. Although we have 18-inch wheels, so smaller wheels mounted, 20-inch it was with the A7, but definitely rougher here to that surface. And the 2-liter engine does give us so much power out of the corners. And also, when you have a quattro here with the 2-liter engine, it's always front-wheel biased, and that is different, so it will be better than with the S5. Of course, here I also feel a little bit more understeer. Yes, the car is a little bit lighter, but that rear axle steering from the A7 definitely gave me, also this really agile effect in the corners, so that I wouldn't really say it's much less fun in the A7 to do these winding corners. Yes, in the S5 petrol it will be different because you have rear-wheel bias from that quattro then and also a little bit more power. But here in this comparison now, yeah, it's not that the A5 would bring so much more fun due to the less weight. Maybe a little, but then, as I said, only in the S5 with rear-wheel bias. So yeah, that's definitely to be noted. But where does that leave us now? Well, what do we do now? Oh, that was some close parking, wasn't it? Yeah. So, first of all, what about the pricing? The base price difference is about 25,000 euros or dollars. So, for example, this one here in this spec starts around 45,000 euros in Germany. This one here at 70,000 euros. But if you add the extras, you get a difference here from these test vehicles of 40,000 euros. Yeah, and then you are at around 60k and here around 100k. Of course, this one here with the 3-liter V6 engine. So definitely price performance winner. Clearly the Audi A5 Sportback. It delivers you all Audi you need basically. Great sportiness and comfort. Even more fun, of course, as the S5 petrol, which you can still get in US also for the Sportback version. Here the A7. Design-wise, it is my favorite. And also the interior is a little bit more sophisticated as for the comfort and the space you have. The user interface, however, is better with the A5, I feel. Trunk space, both very well usable. Driving fun is great with both as well. Here, once again, rear axle steering and air suspension. The A7 gives you a little bit more sophistication. And they indeed come very close. Said that earlier. C-Class versus E-Class or BMW 3 Series versus 5 Series, I feel there's a bigger gap than here with the A5 Sportback and the A7 Sportback because the A5 Sportback is already that good. If price would not play a role at all, I would still go for the A7 to get this extra of sophistication if I wouldn't have any space problems for parking in and out and so on, but the rear axle steering does have this. So I appreciate this little bit more sense of sophistication from the A7. Yeah, and in the UK you can also get the nice microfiber seats here, by the way, for the A7. But in general, the offering of animal skin alternatives, in Germany it's great, for both cars. In the UK and in the US, it's really not that good. They need to upgrade the choices right there. So, A7 for me it is. My, let's say one of my dream, like a fleet or something at home would be an A7 then for long road, and then the A5 convertible for shorter roads and even more fun. That would be a great setup. Nevertheless, if you think about somehow take price into account, it must be then the A5 Sportback. So indeed, here the matter of price. What's your opinion? Tell me in the comments which one would you actually go for. And if you're interested in these vehicles, we have a nice comparison between the S5 convertible and the BMW 4 Series convertible as also the performance version. Or if you want to go this one here, a little bit more performance style, the RS7 we got for you.